Hey everyone, I'm Cassie.
And I'm Jared.
And we are from the Meetup. And we're here today to talk about how to pick out a great piece of meat.
So a lot of people ask, how does grading factor in? What are we looking for marbling? Why are some steaks so much more expensive than others? We're gonna dive into all that here in this video.
Let's take a look at some of the most common steak cuts you'll find in stores. So depending on your preferences of tenderness or flavor, fat or no fat is gonna help you decide which steak cut you like the most. The ribeye will have a lot of internal marbling, so it's gonna be super high in flavor and tenderness.
So the ribeye comes from the rib section of the animal. Ribeye is known as the king of marbling among steaks, giving it a bold, rich flavor and tenderness. Personally, it's my favorite. The New York, or New York strip as it's sometimes called, is cut from the short loin section. While the New York lacks in tenderness, it makes up for an intense, beefy flavor. The filet comes from the tenderloin. This cut only represents 2 to 3% of the animal, making it a rare and often more expensive cut of meat. The filet is known for its tenderness. It comes from a non-weight-bearing muscle, keeping it from getting too tough. While incredibly tender, it will have less marbling than other cuts. Top sirloin steaks are cut from the more tender top sirloin butt section of the sirloin.
The top sirloin steak is a great bargain steak for your money. It's going to have really great beefy flavor, not as much tenderness as some of the other cuts, but it's a really great weeknight option without a high price tag. So what are your preferences in a piece of meat? Depending on what you like, maybe its tenderness or flavor is going to impact the choice you make in your steak. So now we're gonna talk about the grades of meat. So you may have noticed when you're at a grocery store or wherever you buy your meat, that there's a grade given to it, maybe choice or prime, or maybe it doesn't say. The USDA at the time of harvesting meat will actually give it a grade or a score. And what that score reflects is how much marbling is in the meat.
So you might be wondering, what is marbling? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna kind of dive into the details of that, what that looks like in a steak, and what to look for when you're picking out a piece of meat.
Marbling is the distribution of fat within the muscle of beef. You'll see it as little white specks or veins that run throughout the red muscle. Marbling is a strong visual predictor of tenderness, flavor, and juiciness, and it will improve the overall palatability of beef. The USDA gives 3 main grades to beef. They are Select, which is much leaner and has a lot less marbling. They give Choice, which has modest marbling, but is still a high quality product, and Prime, which is the highest amount of marbling, and only approximately 5% of cattle grade at USDA Prime. Because of their scarcity, Prime cuts will have a higher price point than Select or Choice. But it's still important to actually look at the steak and to see how much marbling it has, because something that's graded USDA Choice can still taste almost as good as Prime just because of how marbled it is. So there's an even higher grade of beef beyond the USDA grading scale that's called Wagyu beef.
Wagyu beef starts at the very top of the USDA scale. Once USDA Prime ends, Wagyu starts.
And Wagyu is a breed of cattle, and it has an overabundance of marbling in it that's achieved through breeding and genetics and feed. And what you're gonna have is just an over-the-top, buttery, kind of decadent flavor from all that marbling in there.
You can visually see the abundant marbling throughout the meat. They are very rare, and the cattle require a lot of time and money to breed and raise. So Wagyu beef has an extremely high price point. Japanese Wagyu is the best beef you can get in the world. It is extremely marbled, extremely tender, and almost melts in your mouth. So here at the Meetup, we like to feature the highest quality meat you can get. Most of our meat starts at Choice and goes higher than that. There are very few pieces of meat here that we have that are not Choice or higher.
So we find that if you start with a really great piece of meat, then you're gonna have a really great experience. We also have an instructional video on how to cook a steak that can help you out in that process as well.
So come on down to the Meetup. We'd love to talk you through your buying experience, how you're gonna cook it. We'd love to talk about that here at the Meetup.